welcome. We back. We ready to proceed. That was strange. So as of late, I've been getting into the Great British Bake Off. I've been binge watching it like mad. It's fantastic. I mean, they're British, they're baking. It's beautiful. I love it. Watching this show has stirred up some of my emotion towards baking. Me and baking have had a long history, particularly with cakes. I have made many a legendary cake in my day. The cake prank, the mayonnaise cake, the Zuko cake, the disaster that was the first cake I ever baked. But today I'm gonna tell all y'all the story of the chocolate pepper cake. Around this time of year, about a year ago, I was living in Nashville, Tennessee, where I served as an LDS missionary. So the two girls I was working with at the time were Sister Yucatil and Sister Print, and there was a really good friend of ours, his name was Alex, and it was his birthday, and so I was like, I'm gonna bake a cake! I have this little notebook that's filled with recipes, including the recipe for the greatest chocolate cake and accompanying chocolate buttercream frosting that has ever been known to mankind. The thing is divine. They were a little bit worried. They were like, are we gonna have time to bake a cake? And I was like, no, we baking a cake. I made a big deal about the fact that I wanted to bake this cake. So we went down to Walmart to pick up the groceries. I brought along my little notebook filled with recipes. I cracked that thing open, only to discover that I had never actually written down the recipe for the chocolate cake. Now, I was left with one of two options at this. I could have either told Sister Prince and Sister Yucatil that I didn't have the recipe, called the cake off, and just, moved on with my life. My other option was to lie, BS my way through this cake, and give Alex the resulting monstrosity. Guess which option I chose. I felt personally that my only course of action was to BS my way through this cake, which I did. I had no recipe, only a very, very basic knowledge of baking. I was really surprised with how well this cake turned out. I mean, the thing looked gorgeous. It smelled divine. It tasted chocolatey. It was moist. It rose. It was fantastic. I was so pleased with this cake. There were two main problems with this cake. The first problem was the secret ingredient. I am infatuated with the idea that you can just add random crap to a recipe, a crap that feels like it doesn't even belong, and it will make the recipe better and no one will be able to figure out what it is. For example, one can add mayonnaise to cake batter and that will help moisten it. The original recipe for this cake, it calls for like a teaspoon or so of cumin? C-U-M-I-N. That stuff. Like, it adds a little bit of a kick and just a lovely depth to the chocolate. I really enjoyed it. The only problem was that we didn't have any cumin? Because that crap is flippin' expensive. We were poor missionaries. We were living on like a budget of like $150 per month for groceries. So ain't nobody got money for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I improvised. I'm gonna add a little bit of spice in there to replace the cumin. My idea was chili powder. We didn't have any chili powder, unfortunately. Like, what else is spicy? Black pepper. Black pepper is spicy. So I dumped a whole bunch of black pepper in this cake mix. A regrettable decision. I give them the little piece to sample, and they start choking because their throats are on fire. And they were like, what the heck did you put in this? And there was that anxiety again. I was like, well, I can't tell them that, because if I tell them, then they're gonna disown me. I have no idea what's in there. The second mistake was the aforementioned chocolate buttercream frosting. Buttercream frosting is super easy to make because it's just butter and powdered sugar and a little bit of vanilla extract, and then you add your chocolate powder if you need to. Just mix that up and you whip it together. You need an electric mixer. I will go ahead and say this, that if you're gonna make buttercream frosting, you need an electric mixer, because otherwise you're gonna be sitting there for 25 years trying to flip and make this butter resemble a frosting shape. We didn't have an electric mixer. I went to it by hand, and after a millennia or so, I got really tired, and I was wondering why this thing didn't look like frosting and why it was so lumpy and chunky, and there were little bits of butter and little pouches of powdered sugar. Like, maybe I'm forgetting a step. Should I heat the buttercream frosting? I did it anyways. So you know that moment, like right after a new mother gives birth and then they're holding their child for the first time, this, you know, like alien-looking, wrinkly, soggy, pink mass of limbs, and, you know, it's covered in blood and other fluids, and they're like, she's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in the world. That's how I felt. That thing was flippin' ugly and everybody knew it, but that thing was my baby. I created that thing. And they tried to convince me to throw the cake out and give up on the idea of the cake, but I said, no, son! I gave Alex the cake. Have you ever had one of those moments when like a really small child comes toddling up to you and they're like, look, I've drawn you a picture. And you're really touched for a second, and then they hand you a drawing of like the most disturbing thing you've ever seen. Like it's like a humanoid thing that's just all head, and it's got like hands sticking out where the eyes should be, and it's got like 27 legs and wings and maybe like a tail, and you can't tell if it's stick hair or if it's horns, and you can't tell the child. The thing that they've created looks like it's crawled up from the bowels of hell. You just can't tell them that. You don't tell kids things like that. Because in their eyes, that crap is the Mona Lisa. So instead, you pat them on the head and you're like, this is amazing, good job, wow. And then you hang it on the fridge with a little bit of regret. But you do it anyways, just to make the kid feel good. That's about the response I got when I gave him this cake. I know some of you out there are probably like, oh, it probably wasn't that bad. It really was. I mean, look at the picture. Look at this. I want to thank all of you guys for participating in the story of my cake fail. Okay, if you guys liked it, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you want to see any more of my content, hear more of my stories, you can click here on the little bubble of my face. That will subscribe you to my channel. Everybody who subscribes gets a free recipe booklet. That's not really incentive, is it? Have a lovely night, folks.